good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Six Rings Kane Show on a new night, Monday night now, baby. We're really excited, actually, to have Eric McLean on the show here, college football analyst, co-host of The Huddle. Coach, yes! All right!
First touchdown of the year.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a six-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ, break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. We reporting live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the six-ring champs. There's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the Six Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Hey, look who's here, baby. What's going on, Blue?
I'm here, man.
Let's get it going, and Blue's going to hop in, and there you are. You didn't even have to wait. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was watching Randy Rosarina in the first round.
Yeah, he beat Garcia, right? Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
he did. Yeah, he hit some bombs. Home run derby on TV. We got a big time commit coming on the show today, and we've got some Major League Baseball draft news for Canes baseball. We got a lot of stuff.
Got decimated, man.
Yeah, we did.
Which is a good thing. Which is on both fronts. I think so. I mean, this is a good thing because
actually, you know what? To be honest with you, I think we're okay from a high school perspective, and we'll get into that.
We'll be okay generally. I think we might just have to do a separate baseball show once we.
We might have just lost two guys, which is
I
nice.
think we might need to kick up a separate.
Well, it could be
show.
Vanderbilt. They lost 9 guys.
I know they lost 9 high schools.
Yeah.
And Arkansas lost like 6 high schools.
Yeah, well,
but
I think we'll need to do especially as the assistants get announced. We probably need to do a separate baseball little catch up.
Yeah.
But congrats to obviously Yo-Yo went highest right at the first pick in the second round, but I think we had 6.
kind of disappointing because he was the guy that everyone was talking about.
Yeah,
for like 18 picks.
I don't get why.
Well, he was projected like late teens, early 20s, so he slid a little bit. There was a big run on shortstops. There weren't that many third basemen picked. Actually,
No, but to his credit, it was a college guy and would be a lot easier to sign. A lot of those high school kids had the leverage of going to college.
Right.
Yeah, so that happens. The same thing happened with Andrew Walters that a lot of people are talking. I mean, he went in the second round also, right?
Yeah.
Second round kid. He's 22, so he slots down a little bit, but he was the first reliever taken, and that tells you a lot about his projectability at the next level. He could potentially even be a long reliever. I mean, some people are saying that he could start if you give him the chance. So he's got a lot of upside. He's got a lot of potential.
Yeah. Very talented draft, though. Very talented.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess
that first round probably was as talented as I can remember.
I mean, it took my cousin, so that was great. Adrian Santana. No, I'm just kidding.
From Doral?
Yeah, he's not my cousin.
No.
There was an Indian kid that got picked.
Yeah,
number 20.
Look
at
an Indian kid. From Strawberry Crest.
Arjun Namali.
Yeah, he actually came. He actually his dad, who played cricket all of his life, actually persuaded him to play baseball. So
there you go.
Yes, man. Finally, it's a breakthrough.
And Blue, there was actually a couple big time college quarterback prospects that were taken in the second round too. I know that Austin Walker kid.
Austin Walker, right?
Austin Walker was a big time prospect. I think he was going to go to was it Arkansas or Clemson or something like that?
Arkansas, yeah.
Yeah, so some big time college football prospects that got drafted in the first round. Yeah, they're going to go to.
That usually happens every year because you have a guy who's very athletic and obviously he's a really good quarterback, but he probably wouldn't translate to an NFL career. He might play it in college, but these guys nowadays, you send, some of these college kids to maybe low A ball, and then next year they start out in high A ball. By the end of the year, they could be in the bigs. I mean, that's
you'll have some of these guys. I don't see Paul Skeens in the minor leagues too
No.
I don't see that kid in the minor leagues too long, or even Dylan Cruz. I can see those guys getting called up real quick. So
yeah, because they could use Skeens right now as a short reliever, just to get him acclimated into things, and by next year in spring training, when they go to spring training, obviously he's a lot like Gerrit Cole, because I mean, I remember when Gerrit Cole came out of UCLA, and he was basically the same type of guy. Him and Trevor Bauer too, who I actually saw in a game the other day in Toronto and Tokyo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's playing in Japan now.
They
won't have him here anymore.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, he's not allowed in.
Yeah, he's
out there, man.
Before we get
we should shout out CJ Kafis went in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Zach Levison, Alejandro Rosario,
Dom
went in the 5th, and Patelli went in the 7th, I believe.
Good.
So and all those kids are probably going to sign. That
happens.
Congrats to all of them. Those are all. I would say, we talked about how maybe Yo-Yo slipped a little bit further. I would say everyone else did good for themselves in terms of where they got drafted in. So congrats to all of them and good luck.
We'll talk a little bit more about that after, but let's before we bring on our guest, because he should be popping in a moment now. Let's talk about our sponsor real quick. That's PrizePicks.com. Make sure you guys go check them out. It's PrizePicks.com. When you sign up, you're going to log in and put in the code 5, F-I-V-E, and they will match your initial deposit up to $100. Make sure you check that out. It's real easy, guys. Choose anywhere between 2 to 5 players from any leagues. You can go Major League Baseball, basketball, football, Formula One, golf. You can go a whole bunch of different things. College football when it comes around. You can even prize picks on the home run derby that's going on right now. So got a lot of different options that you can go in and win. All you got to do is choose the over under on individual categories for those specific players and see yourself win some money. So make sure you check them out. Go to prizepicks.com. Code word FIVE when you sign up. They'll match your initial deposit up to $100, and then you're set. You're ready to go. PrizePicks.com. Check them out. Do we got him backstage yet or no?
No,
not yet. All right, so he should be coming in soon. We've got the
shout to Daniel Berry, friend of the network.
Friend of the network, baby. That's right.
Yeah, and actually, as I was saying that, our boy's backstage now. So
all right, let's go ahead and bring on the big nasty from the trenches.
Is that his nickname, or did you just make that up?
I just made it up, but he might like it.
All right, we got to get him a nickname by the end of the show. So
big nasty.
All right, well, let's let our man Deryc Plazz in here.
There you go. Yeah, already wearing the swag and everything.
Man, that is a fire shirt there.
From none other than Duval. Yes, sir. What's going on, Derek? How you doing, man? Thanks for joining us.
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you coming on. I know it's probably been kind of crazy for you the last couple of days after for a while, a little bit longer than the last couple of days, but since you decided to commit to the Miami Hurricanes, I know a lot of us are really excited for you to have made that pledge and come on down and play over here for the Miami Hurricanes. So we're really excited about that. We wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about, the whole process and how everything has gone. Obviously, you've been recruited for quite some time now. You were, once a Penn State commit as well. So I know that you've been through it all with the recruiting process. What's it been like leading up to this day when you committed to the Miami Hurricanes?
It was great. First earning offers. I got my first offer like 10th grade, then went dry. Then after that, I blew up in January. Then from there, everything just started rolling. So the process was great. Finally seeing the hard work pay off. But from there, it get a little hectic, right? I had 39 offers, so that's 39 coaches. Everybody wants you. So it got a little overwhelming at times, but that's when I cut it down. I went on my first OV. I fell in love, and I committed. But I didn't take the time to digest what's going on. So to sit down and break down what's going to be best for me. And then when I did that, getting back home, I knew Penn State wasn't going to be the best place. And having that feeling, that's not something I wanted to drag out. So I went on ahead and made the necessary calls, decommitted. And then the same day I decommitted, I called Coach Cristobal. Hey, Coach, I want to come on visit. He said, okay, everything was done. I decommitted Thursday like 4. I was in the car on the way to Miami like 7. So that made a difference for me because that was big. Having coach just show that I'm a necessity for his recruiting class. That was big. So I went on a visit there, enjoyed it. Then from there I moved on, went to NC State. That was amazing. Those are two great visits because from the beginning, those are my two top programs. Those were the schools I built the best relationships and everything. Then from there, it was just a lot of praying a lot, putting it in God's hands. Then I have a coach. If you see going through my Twitter, you see everything. I say Long Live Rock 77. So Donald Rocker was my offensive line coach at Andrew Jackson High School before I transferred. He ended up passing away my sophomore spring. So that was early on, but he was one of the first high school coaches to like really believe in me and push a lot into me. That's why I always honor his name in everything I do. But right before I committed, I told Coach Cristobal that I was going to commit Wednesday. Thursday, I went over to his dad's house to spend some time with him. So that's like a mentor, life coach type of guy to me. Really tight with that guy. So his dad informed me of the fact that Coach Rock was committed to Cristobal and Mirabal at FIU. But things didn't necessarily work out there because they were fired or whatever for whatever, no reason, as we all know. But they were fired there, so he ended up going to WKU. But the fact that a guy that I hold in high regards and I do everything in honor was going to go play for those guys, and he's seen the same thing I saw, it was a no-brainer that Miami was the place for me.
That's an amazing story.
Yes, sir. After committing, it just felt like a relief to finally be home. Now I can focus on bringing in other Hurricanes, being a Hurricane, preparing myself to get to college in January.
Hey, awesome. Derek, I was wondering why you made the switch from Andrew Jackson. And then when I went up and saw Mandarin at the University of Florida tear everybody up in 7-on-7, I kind of said, oh, this is why. Really, you walked into a really good situation. I know Coach Bullock for a lot of years. They have a lot of really talented guys on the team. Obviously, Jamie French, who's a big-time kid, and just a lot of talent. They have some good size on the line. They kind of probably made you feel right at home right away.
Definitely. I was already familiar with those guys because I worked out with them, had conversations with them. I actually went on a visit with Tramell and his dad before to Florida. So I've been around those guys a lot. And that's something we always talked about but never really looked at. But going into my spring, the difference in coaching changes, it made a difference. And I knew that going into college, whatever college I was going to go to, I wanted to be prepared because I'm going to go in January. So you can't go through play for a full fall and expect to be performing in January. So I looked at schools that could prepare me the best, and that was going to be Trinity and Mandarin. And then I looked at the rosters and the history. I chose Mandarin because, one, Coach Bullock is an offensive lineman. He played Division I football, and just so happened, watching the film, he teaches a lot of the things that Coach Mirabal teaches, and that's something that I love. So me and him went together. When I finally got enrolled and stuff, we had our first conversation. He was like, yeah, man, I love Coach Mirabal. I watch a lot of his coaching clinics and stuff. So I feel like that was another showing of God's work, how he does everything for a reason. I realized that Andrew Jackson, I was the best player on the team after Grayson Howard left and graduated. So I was the last guy left, and I was an offensive lineman. At Mandarin, I'm one of the best players, but I'm not the best. So it's more so like a snapback to reality. As an offensive lineman, you're not going to be, even if you are the best player, that's not the attention you're getting at the college level. Right. Especially like Miami that's recruiting big-time skill players. So now I can just focus on being an offensive lineman, protecting the big-time quarterback, and allowing big-time skill players to make plays.
You know, in addition to Miami getting a lot of good skilled kids, they concentrated last year on getting big-time offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Francis Maragoa, the young man Okunlolo, they went and got guys who were pretty much people who were mentors, like Cohen from Alabama, like Lee from UCF. Did that play a pretty big part in the fact that they're putting more emphasis in getting top quality linemen on board?
That played a huge part because we all know everything starts in the trenches. So that being the first thing that coach wanted to focus on when he got in, that made a big difference for me, especially with the offensive line unit that they have there. Those four guys that coach the offensive line are phenomenal. So bringing in guys like Cohen and Matt Lee, that just shows the emphasis to win now and prepare their young guys. But I realized a lot, like reading and being interviewed, a lot of people were deterred from the fact that they had 2 5-stars last cycle. For me, that just intrigued me more because a lot of the times you're not going to see 2 top 3 tackles go to one school together. So it's obviously something there. And the fact that a lot of guys like, well, I want to play tackle. With me, I play offensive line. I don't play tackle, guard, center. I can do it all. So I play offensive line. I understand the fact that, one, nothing's going to be handed to me here because of the class they signed before and the guys they bring in through the portal. Everything's going to be earned, and that's something that I love. I don't want to go to a school where I'm told I'm going to be starting fresh out of high school because I understand that doesn't really relate to winning, especially at an offensive line position. So I don't mind taking the time to develop because I know I'll need it. But if the opportunity presents itself to play early, but it's just so happen isn't tackle, that's something I'm going to bounce on.
Awesome. DJ, you got something there for Derek?
Yeah, first, thanks for joining the show. My question to you was, I was watching some of your film or your highlights earlier today, and you're a very aggressive lineman. How do you think that will translate on the field with the Hurricanes?
By the way, Derek, I want to preface this by saying DJ covers a lot of Big Ten football. So when he saw that you committed to Miami, he was really excited.
I was very happy.
He likes the big nasties for that. If you want to play Big Ten, you're gonna fit right in perfectly here.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
He was excited about it.
Absolutely.
But me being aggressive, it's just the fact what I was taught you always finish blocks. The big thing is to finish. So just finish them, and I feel like that's the most fun you can have playing football. I never scored touchdowns or anything. I always blocked. So my fun always came from finishing guys, moving a guy down 15 yards and putting him on his back. It just shows it's a different type of dominance that you can display. And it changes the game because all your skill players going to appreciate you. Turning the guy 1 yard off the ball and moving the guy 15 yards down the field, now he's scoring touchdowns. It just brings a different kind of – I just like the way it made me feel. Bring a different little swagger to the position.
Yeah, a little bit of that nasty that we need, man, for sure.
Sure.
I love it. I love it.
I got a question for you, then I'll kick it over to Vish. You mentioned a little earlier when you're talking to Blue about – settling in now that you're committed, you want to focus on the season over at Mandarin, but also talk to your fellow, players that, recruits that are looking at Miami to play football down here, but also some of the guys that are already committed. Have you been in communication? Have you spoken to any of the guys that are already committed or that are thinking about joining the Hurricanes?
Oh, yes. So actually my first official visit, Chance Robinson was there, so I was able to spend time with him that weekend and meet him. He's a great ball player. Then when I went to Miami for official, I was there with Kevin Riley. So I was actually
blocking for Kevin Riley soon.
Yes, sir. That's the guy I'm really excited to block for. So I spent some time with those guys. Then Judd Anderson and Juan Minaya, they both the real deal. Like they both reach out a lot before I commit and after. That's why I believe in Judd because I feel like he's going to be a great leader when he gets to Miami. I think he'll be our quarterback of the future just the way he carries himself. He reaches out to us. He recruits the class heavy. He's the one to surround himself with great talent, and that's something that I love about him. And then the only guy that I talked to a lot about coming here was Jayden Jackson because he was on an official visit with me, so I was able to spend time with him, meet him, spend a little bit of time around his family. That's the guy I want in this class. But other guys, it's more so whoever coach said he want. Whatever, if a D-line coach say, hey, we want this kid, I'm going to be reaching out to the kid because I only want the best players around me and coming into the program so we can build Miami up to what it should be.
Yeah, we need some of those certified what we call ambassadors here for the Hurricanes. So that always sounds good, man. That definitely sounds good. Vish, what do you got for Derek?
Yeah, so you mentioned you're planning on enrolling in January. Can you talk about what you need to do to prepare to, as you said, to step up to the college level? But first of all, I love your attitude about how you're challenging yourself and just pushing yourself to surround yourself with competition. But can you talk about what you're doing to prepare for that next step?
Right now, I'm preparing myself. Once I got to Mandarin, it wasn't a culture shock, but it's something I love here. They have a +2 mindset. Everything you do +2, which is just a little bit more. So that's something I'm doing now. Always, every day, just getting a little bit more work in because I know that all the little things, every one extra rep, that's going to matter when I get to school because somewhere it's a guy not doing that. So that put me in a position to better myself every day. So but then getting to Mandarin, it's a big difference because our offensive line coach, it's a step up from where I'm coming from. So the little things that he can fine-tune in my game, that's what he's focusing on. And I feel like that's getting me a lot better.
By the way, I already mentioned this once, but I love your attitude and how much you're challenging yourself. It's going to serve you well on and off the field, I think. Because Miami's also strong academic institution. I think you're going to kick butt in the classroom too. Just throw that out there. So very, very happy to have you as part of the program, and welcome to the U.
Thank you.
Blue, what do you got, Blue?
Derek, talk about a little bit about Coach Mirabal. Here's a guy who's coached some really, really good offensive linemen. Obviously, some first-round NFL draft linemen, guys that have, because of, you look at him stature-wise and you go, well, how's this guy going to teach me anything? But by the end of the session, you're shaking your head. This guy knows everything. Talk about that, because he is really an educated guy when it comes to teaching the line, showing you things that maybe that you point out things to him. What kind of conversations have you had with him? Because he's a great guy.
Yes, sir. I've had phenomenal conversation with him over the times that I visited. We always get in there in the offensive line room, talk some football. What I noticed about him is throughout the visit, he's going to be a real chill, laid-back guy. But when it's time to talk football, everybody in the front row, and he's fired up. That's something that I love about him. And then what I learned from just talking to him, something that he told me, he was a teacher for 16 years. So that shows how he's able to teach guys so easily, because he has a lot of experience teaching, because that's all coaching is just teaching football. And he's very passionate about football, which is, I noticed, is something that I love, because he's passionate about teaching and football. So putting it together, I feel like that's why he had the success he's had, as well as the fact that he has Coach Cristobal right with him. And I always say the offensive line unit at Miami. I don't say the coaches, I say the unit, because it's 4 guys with big time experience, either playing or coaching, and what they've done has proven to work. So I feel like there's nowhere else in the country where it's 8 eyes on you in practice for the offense. Right. So I feel like as an offensive lineman, there's no reason not to come to Miami and get better, because Mirabal and Cristobal are both proven year in, year out at many programs that they're going to develop offensive line, and they don't do anything else.
Yeah. My final thing is where you were in Duval County. I mean, it was like a triangle of schools with Florida to the south. You had Georgia up north and FSU to the west. Mm-hmm. Not easy to escape an area like that, especially the Florida schools. Did you ever have any interest in any of those schools? Did you visit Florida? Did you visit FSU?
I visited Florida twice. They never owed me. They weren't really that interested. But Florida State, I've been like 6 or 7 times. Even before I committed, he was still heavily interested. I was interested in him. But with Coach Atkins being there, I already told him, like, I don't see him being there much longer. So that's not a school that I would pursue, because he's a phenomenal coach. I feel like he's a job. So I didn't see a point in going there. And then with them, they've built their program up to what they expected to be, so they're going to have a great season. I'd rather be a part of building the program back up versus going into a program that has been built.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You got Vish smiling from ear to ear over there, man, because
this guy is preaching, and I'm in the congregation right now. Just I love it. Right? I love it. Everything. I love his attitude. Yeah. He's exactly like you said. This is what to get the program where it should be. You need kids like this to come in and really embrace that challenge and elevate it. Like we can't do it from the outside. The coaches can't do it alone. It's the players that are gonna do it. And Derek's attitude is like just exactly what we need in this program. It's awesome.
Well, Blue mentioned something about getting some of those big boys last year. The big dominant offensive lineman. We're doing the same thing this year. Juan is 6'6", 330. You got Derek. Where are you at now? What are your measurables now?
6'5", 290.
290. That's what I'm talking about right there. What's your favorite? I got a non-football question for you. What's your favorite type of food, man?
Chicken. Love chicken.
Okay. All right, we'll have to take it. We'll have to.
You got to ask him the question then, right?
Which one? You ask it.
Popeyes or Chick-fil-A?
Oh God,
those 2 different things. But I like Chick-fil-A.
Let's go. Man, that's what I'm talking about.
That was the first time you lost me, man. I'll survive though.
Oh man, but we got some good. We got Raising Cane's down here. I don't know if you have them in Jacksonville, but
no, we don't.
You got to check out Raising Cane's.
They have churches.
We got churches. We got all that good stuff. We've got a new one called I think it's called Bros Chicken. It's got a bunch of like Nashville hot chicken.
You ever eaten Cuban food?
No, I had to try some with Coach Mirabal.
Cuban food is good.
Let me tell you, I was on the sideline with Coach Mirabal for one of the one of the spring games, and I said to him, "What's the best Cuban sandwich you ever had?" And he told me. He didn't even hesitate. So I'm gonna tell him when I talk to him that's where he's got to take you.
For sure. Sir. Yeah, when you get down here, man, just hit us up and say, "Hey, where's the good Cuban food?" All you gotta do is talk to Coach Mirabal too. He'll know what's up. So so will Coach Cristobal though. They got that. Doc. And you know what? If you want to ask somebody, he's been down here long enough. Jason Taylor as well.
Yeah,
Coach Taylor will know too. He's been down here. Oh man, awesome, man. Well, hey, we'll let you get to it. We appreciate your time. I know it's late Monday, so we definitely appreciate it, Derek, and
congratulations, man.
Yeah, congratulations.
Welcome. Yeah. Hopefully we'll see you in the state championship game down here.
Yes,
against
sir.
Coach Mirabal and Coach Cristobal's alma mater, Columbus.
Yes, sir.
There you go. Thank you so much, Derek. We appreciate it, man. Hey, you're always welcome. You're part of the fam now, so whenever you want to hop on, man, you're more than welcome, brother.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Have me.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You as well.
Man, I feel re-energized.
I know you were loving the interview, and I gotta say, hearing him talk about blocking guys 15 yards down the field as a guy that loves offensive linemen, that was music to my ears.
Yeah, he sounds like kind of like the ambassador, man, like that type of kid that we know. DJ Dallas is the Brevin Jordans,
smart young man.
Very smart. Very, very smart. I mean, he's already got a really nice size to him, 6'5", 290. And like he mentioned, Blue, he and DJ, you guys know, he's a versatile offensive lineman, right? He can play throughout the line. You've seen him play a little bit, Blue. Where do you see him eventually kind of settling in once he's kind of developed and got his feet under him here?
Probably a guard position. Yeah. He capable of playing all three positions, but I just think that his athleticism, this isn't the old days where you go, well, we got a 6'5", 290-pound guy. Let's put him at tackle. It's not. It's predicated on your offense. In Miami's offense, which is more, you need more athletic offensive linemen at all three positions, So I think he ends up there. But here's a guy who walks on campus, just like when you have a guy who's a DN tight end, wherever he happens to fit in the scheme. They don't, this is such a specialized, the times of having just specialized players are over. They're really over, especially with the portal and things. So now you have guys who are more versatile. They're good. And when they're younger, they're going to try a lot more. We talk about kids that they're recruiting at cornerback, but have safety size. So to me, that's where we've gotten receivers who, are more like Ray as in the slot position, who could be jet sweep guys who, you could even put in the backfield. So you've got guys who put the coaches in a tough position now that they play so many things and they offer so much. And I think you're going to see this with Deryc. When he gets on that line, they're going to look at him and say, wait a minute, I would much rather him play here. I think he fits in right here. And back in the day, you couldn't do that. But now the guys, as he said, he's never played basically any other position but the line. So that's something he knows the best. And like I said, I think that if they underestimate Coach Mirabal as an offensive line coach, they're fooling themselves, because this is somebody who he's in your head and he instills, and not to take anything away from, Guerin, that he was in, because he's a good offensive line coach too. But somebody like him is a guy who will, talk, but he'll back it up, and he's there as long as Mario, and he's watching all these, and I could just see him now running down the hallway. He goes, hey, Mario, look at this, man. What about this scheme, right? And that's what you want. And that's the difference between last regime and this regime. You have guys who are hungry for the game. Guys who burn, I had a chance to talk to because I was at that 7-on-7 over the weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that. That was a monster. I mean, Tutu Atwell sponsored an event that everybody went to. I mean, it was you. I don't think there was on two fields that you have better talent than any place in the country. But I'm going to talk about a coach. I can't name him because he really wasn't supposed to be there. But he told me the thing about, what's happening at the University of Miami and is you've got people who are trying to outpride each other. Guys who are going, who are there to win football games, and they're anxious to get the thing back to where, it was, or even beyond that, because there's a lot of naysayers. Oh, Miami will never return to what they were. I don't agree. I think they've got the recipe right now, and I'm tired of the people. I got a text while Derek was on, and they go, "What are you getting excited about a 3-star for?" I said, "Dude, you're preaching to the choir. I don't ever listen to stars. So you know what? That's where we're at. We're at the point where Miami's recruiting players that are in the mold of this team. And you know what? Like I always said, give me a kid, that's a producer over a kid that's hyped up any day."
Well, I mean, let's be realistic here. This is not an easy program right now and he talked about this, right? Like he wanted that challenge of bringing it back. There's other cushier positions you can land in. So, he embraces that challenge of having to come in here. And as Jazz kind of talked about too, the last year's recruiting class was really good, especially on the offensive line. So he's going to have to, and then we went to the portal, like he's going to have to battle for playing time. So it's kind of like both ends of that, right? The program has not been good for a long time, but his position actually has some talent at it where he's not going to just like walk into a starting job. So it's not the easiest position to come into, but he wants that challenge. And those are the types of kids that are going to help this program grow back to where it needs to be. The ones that understand it's going to be hard. He even said, "I don't mind if I have to sit to learn to get better, to earn my playing time." Like he's not going to hop on the portal after 3 months and be like, "I didn't play." And that's what you're going to need to build this out. So, I mean, and especially at offensive line is the toughest position to evaluate. So I agree with what Blue said about stars in general, but especially on the offensive line, because, this is a kid that intentionally went to better competition to challenge himself. He could have stayed where he was and looked like the dominant player on the field at every game, and then it makes the valuation look better. He might get an extra star out of that, but that's not actually going to make him a better football player. And
that's refreshing to hear, definitely.
Yeah. And so I think it's going to this is, and to Blue's point, this is fitting in the mold of what Mirabal and Cristobal are trying to do, which is get physical offensive linemen that want to be challenged, and we're kind of building inside out in that way. So, I mean, nothing's guaranteed to work, but there's a plan in place, and they're recruiting players that are going to fit their mindset and mentality. When it's not just, let me get the guy who basically recruiting services think is the most talented, so I can brag online, right? This is a kid that's going to excel in our system and put the work in to do that. So this is exactly what you need. This is how you're going to build the program back.
Well, you mentioned something really interesting, Vish, right? Like offensive line is the toughest to recruit, and it's the toughest to just to analyze and see, who's really good. Yeah, to project. Yep. It's hard. It's hard. And so when you get some of these guys that are 3-star prospects now, number one, he also plays in the state of Florida. He's a 3-star offensive lineman in the state of Florida now with Mandarin, which is a big time school over in Jacksonville. He's going to play with some of the toughest teams in Florida now, right? So you're talking about a kid who, and look, the star system is flawed anyways. We know how wrong a lot of these star recruiting websites
don't get me started.
They get them wrong a lot. Don't get me wrong, they get them right as well, right? And you do need it's more about blue chip ratio than it is about 5-star, 4-star. It's a blue chip ratio. That's what ends up being your deciding factor of how good potentially that recruiting class is, and so on and so forth. And you see a lot of these big time schools, Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, so on and so forth, usually have high blue chip ratios. Miami was up there last year with their recruiting class. They probably look. You got to remember this is a 2024 class. A lot of these kids are mostly kids. All of these kids are going to play one more year of high school football, and they're going to get bumped up. Some will get bumped out, whatever, right? There's going to be movement still. So, Cameron Pruitt, who's a 4-star now, could end up blowing things out of the water and be a 5-star. You got Chance Robinson, who's at Aquinas. You got Dalen Russell, who is at Columbus, and he's only a 3-star. That kid should be probably a 4-star already, if not a 5-star. I know, Blue, you like Russell a lot. I think he's going to be special also, and Shavers and so on and so forth. You can name them all. So you've got I'm not kind of like paying attention too much to to these stars and what's going on now. And I know a lot of fans are like, oh my gosh, another 3-star here, another 3-star there. You can't listen to that noise. You got to block it out. You got a kid like Plazz and a kid like Manaya, right? Let's talk about this offensive line. You're talking about 6'6", 330. You can't coach that. You can't coach 6'5", 300 pounds, and he says he loves to throw people back 15 yards. Like, when you hear those things coming out of these offensive linemen, that they have this mean streak, they have this nastiness to them, that's what you want. So you can't teach that. What you can teach is technique. What you can teach is how they finish certain blocks and so on and so forth. You can teach that. And you have the best at it in the nation here in Coach Mirabal and Coach Cristobal for that matter, right? So you see what they're doing. They're developing that talent on that side of the football at that position. And I'm not too worried about, these stars and all that. I'm excited to hear players like that. Talk, I get it. Well, it's just talk. No, man, to me, it's a little bit more than that. And you need guys like that are willing to learn, are willing to sit there and get taught and not worry about whether they get snaps their freshman year or not, because they're too good to sit on the bench. That's a bunch of baloney anyways, if you ask me. So I'm excited about Deryc Plazz. I'm excited about this recruiting class so far. I think that Mario and the whole staff are getting the guys that they want. I mean, those corners are legit too. I mean, we didn't even talk about OJ Frederic. I mean, you might have talked about him last week, but another St. Thomas kid, another Raven. I mean, yeah, you're talking about getting the best players from the best teams in the country, and we're complaining that they're not a 5-star, and we're complaining. Come on, let's get a grip, Canes fans. Let's kind of simmer down, relax, take a step back, and realize that the recruiting class that Mario and the staff is putting together is going to be really special. And I think you just got to give it time to kind of develop. We're only halfway there. It's July, like December is signing day. Let's calm down. Let's wait until this is all said and done. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited for this whole class. I got a question for you guys. If you had to choose one guy in this recruiting class right now that you can see get bumped up like the highest, who would it be? And I'm gonna throw some names out at you. You got Chance, Kevin Riley, Marquise Lightfoot, Elijah Lofton, Cam Pruitt, Isaiah Thomas, Ryan Mack, Dylan Day, Vince Shavers. You got Hellcat. You got Deryc Plazz, OJ Frederic, Quan Manaya, Judd Anderson, Dalen Russell. If you had to pick one guy, Blue, who would it be?
I think Dalen Russell's got a opportunity only because of the fact that he's going to get a chance to showcase his overall ability. He's going to be supported with some really good kids like Capers and players like that for his senior year. I thought he was overlooked. I thought he was overlooked by a lot of schools who came in and got blinded a little bit. I think he definitely has an opportunity to be extremely important to his team. He's a big, strong kid, very intelligent, great football player. So I'm going to go with Dalen Russell.
You stole my guy, so that's fine. I figured that.
You've stolen my guys before, so
yeah, all the time. I steal a lot more than you steal from me. That's for sure.
I'm 100% clipping that for some out of context usage for later. Gotta remember.
I like it. Please use it. Yes. DJ, who do you got? Who's the guy that you can see?
I really like Lightfoot. I mean, I think that just the tenacity he brings coming off the edge and his ability to not only get into the backfield and get sacks, but also tackles. I believe he had 122 2 tackles last year. His pursuit ability is very impressive. And, I think he can be definitely more than just someone who can sack the quarterback. He's a disruptor. And I could, he's already a high 4-star now. I could see him, getting that 5th star and becoming, a crown jewel of this recruiting class.
Vish, who's your guy, man? Mr. Recruiting over here.
The recruiting expert.
Yes, the expert here.
Change your handle to recruiting.
So I'm gonna go off the board here a little bit and say Judd Anderson, because I think he can put up. I think looking at him, plays inconsistent, but he's got some physical tools, which I think why the coaches were interested. He's kind of more of a project guy, but I think he could, guys like that, if he puts it together a little bit sooner, I think he can get another. He's a 3-star now, so there's more room to go. Somebody, DJ's picking a borderline 5-star anyway. There's not a lot of room to grow there. So, strategic here. I think Judd Anderson has upside and has the opportunity to showcase that this year and get another star at it. Especially, I mean, if like when he committed here, obviously he didn't have that many big time offers or anything. If he shows out and starts getting, because once Miami's interested, other bigger schools will get interested. You know how these stars work. So if he starts getting offers from other bigger pros, he's obviously not going to be interested. He's all in on Miami, but that's a way for him to boost his star as well by getting an improved offer list. So that's my go right there.
If things don't work out for him, he could be a hell of a recruiter. So I mean, he's the ringleader of this whole class. I mean, he contacts everybody, which you need.
All right, so if I got to pick someone, I'm going to go with DJ. Who'd you choose again?
Lightfoot. Probably not a lot of room for, like Fish said, a safe choice, but
he's got room. He's got to gain some weight. He's got to get in the weight room a little bit.
Fish always has something to say, so I'll just take it on the chin.
Well, I'm surprised he didn't.
Wait, that was like not even like a top 10.
I
like
know,
mean or insulting.
I know. I just got to get my shots in at you while I have
I'm losing my touch if that is. Good luck with the airtime.
I thought DJ was going to pick Elijah Lofton, so
I almost did, but I knew that there was going to be some comments, so I decided to do the safer choice.
Jazz, if it helps you anyone, my 1A was Riley.
Was Riley? Well, no, he's too good. He's already too good. I can see that kid getting a lot of playing time in 2024. It's unbelievable how talented he is. He's probably I know he was the number 1 back, I think, for Miami in this recruiting cycle, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm happy that he's here. It's going to be tough to keep him because everybody's going after him. So if we can keep him on in the fold with him and Hellcat, that's huge. I'm going to go with Vincent Shavers, man. I mean, look, he plays for one of the top teams in the country already. He's a big-time linebacker prospect now / edge guy, I guess you can say. And he's only getting better, 6'1", 205, 210 now. Puts on a little bit more muscle. Like I mentioned, he plays for a hell of a team over in Central. I think that, with the type of guys that he has around him, he's just gonna explode, and he just exploded on the scene, last year. He's starting to, really develop into a really nice linebacker prospect. You see him just have a hell of a year, and I can see him bump up to a high 4-star kid. So I'm really
playing a little bit some safety too, which kind of is a reminiscent of Stanquan Clark, who came to Central last year as a safety, and he worked under Derek Gibson, and I listen. This kid's a worker, and as long as he can put on weight,
right, that's going to be the big thing with him.
Yeah,
right?
You see, that's the thing. You look at Sean Spence, you look at guys like that came in like less than 195, 200, and he by the time he comes in, he's got to be around 215 next year. I would think close to it anyway.
Yeah, I agree. And if you look at all the linebackers on the team right now, I think there may be one that's under 225, 230. Everybody else is 6'2", 230, 6'2", 235.
Yeah.
6'3", 230, 240. So you've got, Chase Smith is almost 240 already. And if
the Gary kid is a good looking kid too.
Which one? Oh, Gary. Yeah.
Gary.
Yep. Yeah. Aguirre.
Yeah. Gary.
Aguirre, Raul Aguirre.
No, that's too Anglo.
That's too Anglo.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. What do you think this is? Buckets? Too Anglo.
Yeah, really.
Catch our bucket show basketball there. That's not how Melissa wanted me to
Oh.
plug it, but
Oh man.
I'm more impressed that DJ
But
don't have his fan on. It's
that-
about
that- yeah.
750
I know, the fan's
degrees
not
in
moving,
South
DJ.
Florida.
You know, I was thinking of you today, Blue, when I said, wow, I really haven't turned on my fan a lot this summer. And then, you know what it is? We're getting floods up here. We're getting some really bad rain up here. So, no need for
I
the
saw
fan
that.
here. Yeah, it's crazy. Tons of rain all summer. Terrible summer. So,
Yeah, we've been hotter down here than for a 5-day period than we've ever been.
really,
We've been
wow.
well over 100 degrees, which
Oof.
is crazy.
No, thank you. Too hot for me.
With the humidity too.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's
Forget
been
about
really
dry heat. The
disgusting.
humidity's been nuts.
It was 6:30, and I walked outside of my house when I got here, and I was like, "How does it still feel like it's 100
Yeah.
degrees outside?"
You got to
It's
change your socks, right? it's amazing. But I do, before we switch, I just want to let you know that I had a chance to go to that
I was going to ask you. Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Let me tell you something. And Tutu Atwell does a good job. You know, he's giving back to his community, which was Liberty City. And oh, by the way, you know, I mean, here you have Central, you have Northwestern, you have Chaminade, you have Norland, all on one stage. And I will tell you this, it was one player after another trying to make history. And I'll tell you what, the Chaminade kids or everything is advertised, the Central kids as well. We saw Cam Kinchins came out, Teddy Bridgewater, everybody came out to kind of, support all the local guys. And that's what the best thing about South Florida, I think, is that, especially at the University of Miami, is that you have so many of the former players who just come back. There's no, here you have a guy who, it could be like Ed Reed. Here's a perfect example. Ed Reed just walking around, and here's a dude that's in the Hall of Fame and one of the best Miami's ever had. And people are used to that. And that's what it is about South Florida, especially about Dade County, that when former players come back, people seem to expect it. And that's the best part, and a lot of the NFL guys came to support Tutu, Sony Michel and players like that. So it's pretty nice, especially for those young kids who have an opportunity, because this is the time in their life that they're trying to get a role model, in front of them. And, when you have a Dalvin Cook or one of these other players or a Tua or somebody come out to an event like that, it makes a big deal for them. And like I said, nobody held back. This was, and you know what? When does a 7-on-7 tournament in just a small area ever garner national attention? This thing had 3 days of national stories, national videos, because you had the number one receiver in the country in Jeremiah Smith. And obviously you had all those kids from Central, the quarterbacks. And so, yeah, it was, I'll tell you what, that's what the difference is when you say, well, what's the difference between here in LA or here in Dallas or Houston? Or,
that's it.
This is why. You could come to a irrelevant Saturday and Sunday in July and see that much talent, guys who are going to control college football over the next 4 or 5 years. That's big. And I really enjoyed it, other than it was blazing hot, guys. I will tell you this. They must have had 100 cases of water just ready to go for all the teams. They kept icing it down. And you couldn't get enough water. That's how. And remember, it was on that artificial surface, which has a rubber underneath it. So when that boils up, your shoes kind of start sticking to it. So,
wow.
But yeah, I had a good time.
Who starts at quarterback for Central? Is it J.C. Evans or is it Beckham Kritza?
Well, I'll tell you what, the third string quarterback, who's only 5'11", has been the most impressive.
Wow.
He was 20 of 22 in the spring game, all weekend long. He was the guy, but Evans will probably get the start, and Beckham also. But I think all three of them are going to find a way to play, because I don't think the kid's leaving. I don't think Antonio Smith, even though his dad's the head coach at Hialeah, but he wants to go, and here's the thing. They play on national television 2 or 3 times this year.
Right.
Plus, they're going to be in big games. So if you're just a backup, but a backup who the head coach isn't afraid to throw you into the wolves in, a 10-9 game, you're going to get more exposure than if you went somewhere else and, put up all these stats against average schools. So I think that, just talking to his mom and, I think that's the route that they're going to go. But they've got kids. I mean, to me, FSU kind of stole Lewayne McCoy. That kid is just, I hope Miami could dive back in there somehow, because that kid is what a dominant player. And, and then you had guys at New Orleans stacked with kids. And Miami needs to get in there. They have a couple of defensive linemen that are pretty good. Now they got the kid Tarver, who just committed to Maryland, who went there. So that's on top of, all the studs that they have. So, it was everywhere you looked, even looking at Jackson or Northwestern, who a lot of people are already deeming have the best incoming freshman class of anybody in the state of Florida. And that's because of Michael Lee Harris, and that's because of Bridgewater, trying to rekindle that. So, yeah, the train ain't slowing down in South Florida. And by the way, Chaminade won the thing. So,
yeah, I saw a video of Cedric Bailey throwing a touchdown pass to Jeremiah Smith, and then
like they could use the 10 grand, right?
Yeah, right. That's that's gonna be special to see all those kids go play. They're gonna play everywhere, but if Miami could put together, and recruit the hell out of just those guys right there, they're gonna be in some good shape. With the Cedric, the Central, and Chaminade, and Thomas, and
and Booker T also. Booker T Washington.
Yeah, they're
secondary
as well.
Yeah, their secondary got 2.5 corners, and Ben Hanks' son.
Ben Hanks he's probably the best corner in 2025, right?
He's a beast, and but
and
they have
his other part is really good too.
Yeah, Antonio Branch. Yeah, so there's a lot of talent. I mean, and what a pleasure it is to just kind of just go like 15 miles and seeing that type of, athleticism just at one. Like I was remarking, I said, gee, because they were using 2 fields. And I said, where are you ever going to find this much talent together on 2 fields? You just don't. You just can't. It's just impossible. And but it was a good time.
Before we get it going, I kind of wanted to finish off on, again, just kind of talking about baseball a little bit, and kind of talk about, we spoke about the draft prospects. We didn't mention Adrian Santana. By the way, Julio Rodriguez hit 41 home runs.
I know, he's going against my guy too. So.
Oh, he's going against your guy, Pete. He's a Gator, so he's not my guy. Okay, he's
he's a Met, so he's my guy.
Yeah. But you gotta have loyalties to it's UM first, man.
Yes, UM first.
There's no UM guys out there.
I know. So then we do what we've gotten accustomed to in football. When there's a high stakes event, there's no Miami presence to cheer against Florida and Florida State. So.
Oh man, that's awesome. As we mentioned already, obviously Yo-Yo going in the first pick in the second round. Walters later on in the second round. Then you had who was next? It was CJ Kafis next.
Yeah, Kafis went third round,
which is surprising because I thought he might go a little bit lower than that. But
I saw he was. I think they're gonna try and play him in the outfield. Right? I saw him working out there in some of his like when he was working out for. Yeah, so I think that's. Which makes a lot more sense.
I can see he's probably going to be like a left fielder or something like that.
He's got a good arm too, so he can play.
It's not bad. He's just a short guy, right? He's 5'10", 9, something like that. So, and then you've got after that you had. I
think People went next, right? And then Levinson, or which order was it in?
Levinson,
they both went the fifth. They both went the fifth.
Yeah, it was People and then Levinson. Yeah. It was, People went to Texas, and then Levinson went later to St. Louis, and then you had Dom going the 7th round to Cincinnati. So, right. But in between all of that, Adrian Santana, who was the probably the best prospect in all of high school baseball, shortstop out of Doral Academy, went in the first round. And then we had who was committed to Miami, of course. That's why I say it. And then we had Tayshaun Walton, who was a big time outfielder prospect from IMG Academy, ended up going in the 4th round, who was committed to Miami as well. Aside from that, nobody else went in the top 10 rounds that was committed, which is great to hear because who would have thought? But those two. I mean, the slot for a 4th rounder is like $600,000. I mean, there's not you don't say no to that kind of money. No. So and then it was something crazy like 600, 500, $500,000. So aside from that, you still got one of the strongest recruiting classes in the country. Daniel Covett, I believe is his name, a big strong infielder who could play the corners. A local, I don't know if he's a local kid or not, but he still had a lot of prospects that could potentially still get drafted. I just don't see them moving on. I think after the 10th round, it's hard for a lot of these high school kids that are going to big time programs to sign contracts that
yeah, they gotta have the right advice though, and
yeah, the money's not there unless you have leverage. If you have leverage and you were supposed to go higher and they held off or whatever the case is, you know how it works. It's weird how this.
Yeah, but it's hard to have leverage when you're not in one of the top rounds just because.
Right. The Korean kid from Miami-Dade didn't get drafted that high. He didn't go in the top 10 rounds. So that's a kid that's committed to Miami who's a really good prospect.
Oh, yeah. George Lombard went in the 1st round.
He did.
Get out of Gulliver.
Unbelievable. And I know there was another kid. Jack Wilson's son went in the 1st round.
Oh, yeah.
Some names went in the 1st round. So, like you said, Blue, it was a hell of a draft. At least the first couple of rounds was really strong.
Yeah, very strong.
Really solid. So, but
but I would say all in all, from a UM perspective, could have been much worse with the recruiting class. Yes. So I think it's going to largely hold. I mean, I think
it's a no-brainer for the guys that got drafted.
Yeah, but I think we expected them plus a few more to get drafted that high. So probably some of them slipped because they indicated they were probably going to go to college because they don't want to use those high picks on someone that's not going to sign. So I think that's a really good sign for us.
It's probably a double-edged sword, Vish, because if you're good kids, you want good kids to play at your school,
right?
And but if they're too good, then they get drafted, and then you lose them. And see, to me, I'm surprised that doesn't happen a lot more to Florida and LSU and Tennessee and Vanderbilt. But that's why you get a guy, like Skeens. I mean, came from the Air Force Academy. So
they were saying that Skeens could have got drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round as a catcher.
Yes.
Because he hit 410. Right. He hit 410 at Air Force as a catcher. He could have been drafted as a catcher / DH in the 2nd or 3rd round. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well. But here he is. He's going to be in the Pittsburgh Pirates rotation pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
So when Yo-Yo gets the call up, I'll head out to National Park.
That's gonna be awesome.
Right there.
That's awesome. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, he did go to Washington, so I can watch him play. Yeah,
that would be pretty cool. I mean, they suck over there, so
plenty of good seats are available. Like that can sit like right.
Right he's there. On the fast path, man.
But their farm system's pretty good. So they got the 8th or 9th best farm system. And I'll tell you what though, a guy like him could get accelerated, because they'll start him probably at low A instead of rookie. They can't start him at rookie ball. He's just too old. But they'll start him at low A, and like I said, by the next year in spring training, he could break out if he has a really good spring training. He may even get to Double A next year, because of his age, obviously.
Right.
And then
his power.
Once you get to Double A, all bets are off.
If his power plays, that's it. For him, it's about power because he makes contact.
Yeah.
If his power plays, then he's gonna get called up because he can play third. He can play short if he have to. He can probably play the outfield if you let him. He's that athletic, so I think he'll be fine.
He's also he's very polished as a hitter already, so I think it'll help him kind of adjust because he made that adjustment over his time at Miami because he used to just like slug and strike out a lot, and he got much better at going the other way with pitches.
Yep.
And all of that will pay off at the next level. The other thing is the Nationals stink, but they're not cheap, which means they won't hold him down there to retain his. There's all sorts of gamesmanship with baseball contracts, but you don't want to call them up too quickly because then they vest more quickly and you have to pay them big bucks more quickly. Right. So, but they won't worry about that because the Nationals they spend money. So,
yeah.
So
well,
to Blue's point, they're a bad team that'll spend money, so there's an opportunity for him to kind of work his way up more quickly.
Right.
Where does CJ go? Finally, where did he go? Davis?
Texas, I thought. No?
No, people went to Texas.
Oh.
I don't know.
I mean,
Walters went. Oh, Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland.
He went to Cleveland. So.
So did Walters.
So did
right?
Walters. Yeah.
Yeah, they both went to Cleveland.
Yeah. So I think both of them. I mean, I think Walters has more upside, you can say, or faster track to get promoted. But the thing is, again, Vish, you mentioned what Yo-Yo is. Kayfis is a pretty polished hitter as well. So it's just he's going to be moving positions. He plays a position that is
you can't play first base in the pros at that size,
right? And even in the outfield, if he goes to the outfield, he needs to hit. He needs to have a little bit of power. His power needs to play, and I don't know if he'll have it, but he at least being a corner outfielder, if he could play center field, which he's got some wheels, he can.
Yeah, he might. He's gonna have to. I think he's gonna have to spend some time in the minors to work. Yeah, again, like you said, he's playing a different position than he played in college. So
right.
But the funny thing about last night is, Vish, you were bringing up all the shortstops, but almost every shortstop that got drafted, they kept thinking, well, he'll be a good third baseman.
I know. For most of them, I think there was only a couple like. Gosh, the kid from the kid from Alabama. No, Pickney. That was an outfielder. But they had a shortstop.
But most of them that they kept projecting at third base.
Yep. Is that 62 is pretty high? Is that what they gave him for?
No, that's where he was drafted. We addressed this earlier, right? Like that's about a
2 to 5 scale.
Yeah, and that goes into what you said earlier, Jazz. Like people think he could potentially start as well because he had, he was a multiple inning reliever.
Yeah, and he's got 3 pitches. I mean, I know he didn't use a lot of them, but he's got a plus curveball. He just didn't use it a lot. He's got a decent slider, and of course, he's got 96 to 98.
Well, this is where Rosario is intriguing because he actually has multiple pitches. The irony is, like, it's his heater that got that everyone teed off on, right? I mean, that was like
technical, right? Spin rate and leaving it up.
Right. But if you're a professional organization, you gotta think I can get him to be able to throw a 98-mile-per-hour fastball past people, and he actually has a good slider, a good changeup. He just couldn't set them up because he was too hittable on the stuff that should be.
They saw that.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, like that I know people are like it's a pretty big reach for someone with an ERA as high as his, but that seems imminently fixable if you get him into the right setup. And
absolutely,
he's someone I think we could see in the big leagues too. Just I mean, that arm is a real thing that he has.
Definitely is. So in other news regarding the coaching news, I know there's been some talks out there of a potential hitting coach being announced soon. I know Jeremy Booth, I believe on Twitter, mentioned I believe his name is Dan Fenster, who has been with the Boston Red Sox organization for a very long time now.
Yep.
DJ, if you remember, he used to coach third base for that 2018 World Series.
Oh yeah, okay.
When Feebles or Febles or whatever, when he got hurt, when he hurt himself, he was the third base coach on the World Series.
I knew that name sounded familiar. I just couldn't
DJ kind of wiped the Red Sox out of his head, and you just kind of
they're playing a little bit better now. They're playing.
They are. If only we could play.
Now that the Marlins are out of town.
If only we could play Oakland every single game.
Oh man,
the Marlins are just inexplicable.
The Marlins kicked their ass. It's unbelievable.
Marlins are kicking everyone's ass.
Then they came home. Then they went to Atlanta and got swept by Atlanta. But
Atlanta's not of this planet.
Yeah. I went to a couple games this past week against St. Louis and Philadelphia with the Marlins, and they've got some young talent over there.
Yeah,
they're good.
Got great pitching.
The
freaking Luzardo kid has really turned out to be a gem.
Sixto's going to come back for them, and they're gonna make some moves in before the trade deadline, and I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be interesting to see what they do. And look, that AL East is tight right now. Everybody's above 500.
Yeah.
And that's going to be an interesting to see who's going to sell, who's going to buy in that division. I didn't think the Orioles could keep it up, and they're keeping it up.
They are.
The Marlins
Talk
got
about
them
good
right
young
out of the
talent.
gate next weekend.
Yep, that's going to be a
weekend.
fun little matchup. But as I was mentioning, Fenster, he looks like he's going to be. It looks like they're bringing him on as the next hitting coach / infield coach and coordinator for the Hurricanes as well. He will be coaching third base if I'm not mistaken, for the team as well. And that's it. That's a big time name. That's a big name. He's got major league experience as a coach. He's got hitting coach experience. He's got head coach experience in majors and minor leagues. So that's a good name. He obviously played a little bit of ball as well, of course. So, I like that. I like his resume, and I think that he's going to be a good match for this Hurricane team. And then, of course, they still got to get a recruiting coordinator also. So, and it's funny because Mike Gambino, who took the job at BC, left for Penn State, and now BC is looking for a new head coach also. So, I don't know what they're going to do up there, but they're going to find someone that's going to want to coach that team.
Considering BC doesn't pay anybody, I'll be interested to see who they find.
Well, they said. Well, it's funny you mentioned that because they said that the head coach, they're looking to pay a head coach. Oh, that's right. He did also coach.
Yeah, Fenster did. Yeah. He's got all sorts of. If you're looking for like an experienced hitting coach that'll be able to.
This is the guy.
This is the guy.
This is the guy. So I'm pretty excited about him. What was I saying about
BC?
BC, yeah, they're looking to pay. Blake James is looking to pay $300K to their head coach.
I was about to say, like, considering he's doing the hiring, there's no way this is going to end well.
$300K. Good luck with that.
Combined with the fact that BC doesn't really value athletics a ton, this is going to go really well.
Yeah, that's going to.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, this is gonna. I'm surprised he didn't promote like the third base coach. And
apparently the third base coach left.
He did
to go coach at another Power 5 school, I think.
Oh my God, you got to pay a buyout to bring it back, right? That's the move.
They're looking to bring him back.
No, don't do it.
Because they all know they're not going to get paid at BC. So any chance they get, they're gone.
I know, but he's Manny Diaz again all over again. He can't do that. Did he learn no lessons? Did he learn nothing? Don't just hire anyone else. Don't go pay to get your assistant back.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
anyways,
that's his move though. That's his go-to move. So
that it is. Great show today, fellas. Thank you to Deryc Plazz for coming on.
If people join kind of halfway through, definitely go check that interview out. I'm also going to put it by itself on the podcast feed. So if you subscribe to that, you'll just get it by itself. But he was awesome. It's definitely
a great interview.
Awesome. Yeah,
he definitely was. We'll be back on next Monday, but make sure you check out the Bucket Show on. What day this month?
It's Thursday. Yes, and then that is where we will mispronounce Aguirre significantly. So
yes, we will.
I have to hold it down for Jazz's people on that show because I have to just deputize. I mean, look, we're playing baseball now. Like I gotta hold up my end.
Gotta do something. Blue, what do you got going on this week? You got any other tournaments or anybody you're taking a look at?
Yeah, there's a couple of things going on, local things. Eddie Jackson from the Bears, former Alabama, and Boyd Anderson guy has something going down here. And they have a elite kicking and special teams camp over at St. Thomas University. Oh, cool. So there's a lot of good things going on. Still a couple of weeks before the teams get back. And I think they begin the last week of July. And before you know it, that Broward Showcase is going to be here. You got to, Jazz, you got to make at least to go to the Saturday games, the St. Thomas Bosco and the St. Francis and Chaminade games.
Let's do it. I'm there.
Because there are some pretty good. Last year I saw Caleb, the kid Miami got from Virginia. Yeah, saw him last year. Played down here, so there's going to be some good games. And Central opens up at Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas.
Yep, that's right.
So South Florida teams and the state of Florida teams are not ducking anybody. And there's a couple of Virginia teams coming down again, Vish. team that was they've been state champions 5 out of the last 6 years. I can't even think. But Lauren Johnson, who used to play at Miramar, he's the head coach up there. They're coming down as well, play Miramar.
So just for everyone's awareness, I know nothing about this part of the country. I just live here. So if you start naming like Virginia high schools, I will not be able to keep up with you.
I'm not. I'm just saying there's some that area down in the 757 where that's comparable to South Florida. Got where Allen Iverson and Michael Vick and Ronald Curry and those guys came out of, the Roanoke area. That's a really good area. You look at South Florida, Houston, Southern California. Those are the real crazy hotbeds for football.
Should be fun to watch.
Maybe South Boston. No, not so. I was just kidding.
No, not that. Hockey, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
High school hockey.
That and Dunkin' Donuts, you'll kill us. So
the South is over there, man.
Hockey and a little bit of basketball, but not too much.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, fellas.
Oh, well.
Well, good show. Make
All
sure
right, guys.
rewatch crew, catch a Deryc Plazz interview and more. We'll see you guys next Monday. Adios.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.